When I first started studying the 12 powers, I thought that was interesting. That love is the power to attract. But if we attract, it's for the purpose of harmonizing, unifying, and unifying. And it's also the ability to desire. If you had no desires, like I desired a microphone, and now I have a microphone. If you have no desires, you wouldn't do anything. You wouldn't get up in the morning. You wouldn't make your breakfast or drive to McDonald's or whatever you do for breakfast. You wouldn't be here, you'd just be a blob. So desire is an important part of survival, of being a human being. So we're going to talk about a few of these aspects of love. So starting out with a little quiz here. What's wrong with this picture? Anybody? Just blurt something out.
The brain is running and the heart stops.
The heart and the brain go together.
They're not looking at each other.
Well,
The brain can't keep up with the heart.
Where are the eyes?
actually, the problem with it is that we are taught that the heart should not lead the mind. Ours is a culture that looks down on feelings. Either our culture or the training we got at home or at school or even our own experience has taught us, don't show your emotions. When I'm giving a talk, I look out and about 10 to 15% of people are, with their expressions, responding to what I'm saying. The rest of you are, I have no idea if I'm having any impact. Until you start snoring, then I know, okay, then now that's the impact I've had. But if this didn't happen to you, I know I have heard parents say this to little kids, stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about. The children are not supposed to show their emotions. And so then when we get older, that morphs into you should resist and overcome your emotions. You should not let your emotions rule you. You should put on your big girl or your big boy pants and just do what I tell you or do what you're supposed to do. Don't whine about it. You should bite the bullet. You should have a stiff upper lip. Don't be a drama queen. Our culture is anti-emoting. You're not supposed to emote. But that then morphs into what emotions? I'm not having any emotions. I don't get mad. I get even, but I don't get mad. Or I don't care what people think. I don't care what people say. Which is just a way of hiding from your own emotions and actually believing that you don't have them. And the result of this suppression of emotion is some of them are emotional helplessness and victimhood. The idea, he or she makes me so mad. If you have spent your life denying that you even have emotions, then you haven't learned how to deal with them, except to suppress them. And then something happens and your emotions leak out, and so, we're taught, well, that's not your fault. that's so-and-so's fault for whatever they said or did. I love the way Wayne Dyer put it. He said, if you would just do what I want, I wouldn't have to feel this way. As if you actually had a button that someone could come up and push and, oh, that's my anger button. Push, oh, that's my fear button. And so is an emotional drain. As if you were the victim, as if you had a plug and somebody could come and unplug your happiness emotion and just drain it out of you. Or that boss or teacher or supervisor is a tyrant. We all stay away from him or her because it's just a very unpleasant experience being around that person. And another possible result is emotional overwhelm, because what is suppressed will express. If you go through all of your days without ever even realizing that you're angry and refusing to deal with your anger, then one of these days you'll just blow up. That was the last straw. Or if it's stress, if you go through life having been taught that it's not, it's not manly to be afraid, or that a professional woman should not show fear, then you can have a panic attack. Funny thing is, I remember many years ago, a lot of years ago, and I forget what I was even doing for a living then. May have been when I was a policewoman. I was driving to work and I had a panic attack. And this is before panic attacks became a thing. I had never heard of a panic attack. And all of a sudden, I was just terrified. Just, driving to work one day, just boom, it just hit me. I was afraid that the buildings that I was driving through were going to fall on me. It was just like, what? Ah! So if we suppress our emotions, they will come out. And another result is burnout. If we're not dealing with our emotions, we can have burnout or even suicide. So, love is an emotion, isn't it? And aren't we taught that there are things that we should not love? And so we pretend not to love them. Another misconception is that the heart can't lead the brain because the heart is just a blood pump. Didn't you all learn in science class in like the 3rd or 4th grade that the heart pumps the blood around the body? And did they tell you that the heart did anything else? The heart is just a blood pump. But modern science has learned that the heart is so much more than just a blood pump. And in fact, and the point that I'm going to be getting to at the end of the lesson is that what the mystics have been telling us about the heart is what the scientists today are discovering. So I have this short little, I think it's a 3-minute video from the Heart Math Institute for you.
Did you know that your heart has an incredible, unique intelligence unto itself, or that it has a significant influence on our perceptions, emotional experiences, and higher mental processes? And did you know that the heart can actually sense your emotional response to an event before the event has occurred? You may have instinctively felt that the heart was so much more than a blood pump, but science has actually confirmed it. Researchers discovered that the heart has its own intrinsic nervous system that sends a lot of information to the brain, affecting the way we feel, think, and perceive. In fact, the heart actually sends more signals to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. Scientists refer to this as the little brain in the heart. But don't let the diminutive name fool you. The heart-brain can act independently of the brain in your head. Its neurons have long-term and short-term memory and extensive sensory capacities. The heart and brain communicate with each other in a complex dance. As we experience emotions through the day, our heart rhythm patterns tend to reflect how we're feeling. This information is monitored by the emotional centers in the brain, where they are then perceived as feelings of fear, anger, joy, appreciation, etc. When we get bogged down with stress, worry, impatience, information overload, or indecision, the heart's rhythm has a jagged and irregular pattern. The resulting disorder or incoherence in the nervous system creates noise or static that in essence causes the neurons in the brain to get out of sync, resulting in impaired mental functioning or cortical inhibition. We can feel energy drained with more mental fog, making it difficult to focus, remember things, listen deeply, and make clear decisions. However, on the upside, when we experience feelings like love, kindness, appreciation, or compassion, it creates a smooth, coherent heart rhythm pattern. This has a calming and balancing effect and creates more harmonious cooperation between the heart, brain, and hormonal system. This not only improves how we feel, but also our ability to think clearly. We can see creative solutions to problems and more easily discern intelligent choices and decisions. This is cortical facilitation. The good news is we don't have to wait until we happen to feel good to experience this uplift. We can choose to create it ourselves. Research shows that when we practice activating positive heart qualities, care, cooperation, forgiveness, etc., it has a carryover effect that increases the overall baseline of coherence in our system, so we have more resilience during stressful experiences and can more easily maintain our poise, confidence, and self-security when challenges arise. This is the intelligence of a coherent heart. We offer many free tips and techniques to increase your heart coherence based on our 30 years of research on the subject. Head to heartmath.org/resources to learn more.
So I encourage you all to go on your computer to the Heart Math Institute because they have just so much wonderful stuff and very practical, very practical. So additionally, recently scientists have learned that the heart actually produces hormones, including cortisol, which is, in layman's terms, the love hormone. And so much is being learned now that a new branch of medicine called neurocardiology, or the study of it's called the heart brain, is now an established field in medical research. So in the little video, they talked about heart coherence. And I'm just going to explain that because it's just so fascinating. You know, once upon a, well, back when we had the crystal bowls regularly, we also had John Sokolow was with us, and he was into drumming, and he would, in the background, even while the crystal bowls were playing, he would gently play on the drum the heartbeat. Ba-dump, ba-dump, ba-dump. Okay. And he did it perfectly. And he would sit there and do it for half an hour without skipping a beat. And when he left, another lady tried to do it, and she couldn't get it straight. I mean, she was close, but it wasn't exactly regular. So I thought, well, I'll give it a try. So I ordered a drum. I bought a drum, and I sat in the back of the room while somebody else played the bowls, and I was listening, and I don't remember if it was like a metronome or if it was some music that had like 60 beats a minute, so that I could be exactly right and my beat would be regular. And even with that, it was very difficult. And I didn't enjoy it and never did it again. It was a lot of work. But a metronome, this is 60 beats a minute. And if you have a metronome, and this is a metronome program you can download from YouTube, but a metronome is going to be perfect. If you had the finest electronic mechanism to measure the distance between each beat, it would be exactly 1 second between each beat. And however, even when your heart, you feel your heart and it seems to be beating regularly, it's not perfect. Each beat of the heart, if your heart is beating 60 beats a minute, which is a healthy rate, if your heart is beating 60 beats a minute, the distance between each beat is not going to be exactly a second. It's going to be a little bit more than a second or a tiny fraction less than a second. And when that is measured with sensitive electronic equipment, we see that when people are upset, frustration, anxiety, worry, irritation, the top line here shows that the heart is not beating regularly. It's erratic. It's called incoherent. But when the heart has coherence, it is responding to positive emotions, appreciation, love, and care. The heart will beat, it's called coherence. This is very important in understanding what the Heart Math Institute is trying to do. So, of course, the heart is pumping blood up to the brain, and the brain is sending signals down to the heart. But it turns out, scientists have discovered that the heart sends 8 times as much information to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. The heart is informing the brain. So it turns out that the brain does follow the heart, and the term for that is entrainment. So if you know how to create heart coherence, to have your heart beating at a comfortable, healthy, regular beat instead of being incoherent, then that will send signals to your brain that will have a calming effect, so that, you know, what you saw in the video, you can think better, you can solve problems better, and be happier. And in addition to that, you may have heard of an electrocardiogram or an encephalogram. These are this is equipment that measures the magnetic output of the brain and the heart. And they have discovered that the electromagnetic field of the heart extends about a foot or so beyond your wingspan. So if you can imagine a big bubble around me, that is, if we had the right equipment, it could measure whether or not my heart was coherent or incoherent at a distance of about 4 feet from me. So, there are many things that we can experience with like you can experience the sunshine. You can see it, you can feel the warmth of it. And there are other forces in the universe that you're familiar with, like gravity. You can't see it, but we all experience it. We all know it's there. And this electromagnetic field that surrounds everyone, that is produced by the heart, affects us when we are together. Like everyone who's sitting here, everyone who is within 4 feet of you is within your electromagnetic field. So this lady on the left, her magnetic field includes the guy next to her and the guy behind her. And this guy over here, his field includes the lady next to him and the lady behind him. And so what happens is a heart that is in coherence affects the people around them, and then they're affecting the people around them, and you can get like a snowball effect of emotional states until everybody is feeling, not only are we all feeling the same way, but we're feeling it more strongly than we would if we were sitting at home watching this, live streaming. And this is why we pay a bunch of money to go to a rock concert, because everybody around you is intensifying the good feelings that you're getting from the music. And it works the other way as well. Incoherence is also, it's catching. The people around you can feel it. And you've all experienced this. You walk into a room and you immediately know something is wrong, that the people in this room are not happy for some reason. Charismatic speakers who get the crowds all excited, happy or otherwise, they know how to use this so that the sum is greater than its parts. The amount of emotional electromagnetic energy that's being put out is greater for the crowd as a whole than it would be if you just added up how much energy was being put out individually. So this is why we enjoy being together. And just as a little aside, just to give you a little insight into my philosophy as your spiritual leader, you cannot get this from a Zoom meeting. Absolutely, you cannot get it from a Zoom meeting. You can get to know people and consider them your friends, but that is not the same as meeting with them. And neither is posting on Facebook. Even if this lady knew how to take a selfie, taking a selfie and putting it on Facebook is not, it doesn't nourish us as human beings. Human beings are meant to be, we're pack animals. My husband always wants to keep track of the dogs. He wants to know where the dogs are. And he'll come into my bedroom, and there I will be with both dogs in the bed. And they're always with me if I'm in the bed. And I call it being packed up, because dogs and human beings are pack animals. We need this. If you are not experiencing being around people, you'll get sick just from that. We need this. So the point that I'm getting to with all this scientific stuff, you say, what the heck has this got to do with a spiritual message? when Charles Fillmore wrote the book on the 12 powers, and the 12 powers are his invention. He didn't, he created this out of whole cloth. The 12 powers of the Christ is his idea. But he says, love is a power that joins together and binds together the universe and everything in it. A harmonizing, constructive power. So, everything is energy. We know that. Again, going fourth grade science, you learn how atoms are made. Well, they're made from energy. And that the Big Bang, the energy of the universe came into being, just burst into this dimension all at once. All of the energy of the universe, boom, suddenly appeared. And it was a big, like an explosion. But then all of that energy began to organize itself into particles, atoms, molecules, galaxies, stars, planets, life, and human beings. Sentience. Again, the sum is greater than its parts. Now, normally, if you have an explosion, what is the result of an explosion? What is the result? Devastation, disorder, chaos. But the Big Bang didn't create chaos. It created an orderly universe all the way up to sentience. So this is, a harmonizing principle. This harmonizing principle that causes the universe to evolve and to evolve towards sentience. And by the way, evolution has not stopped. There's no reason to think that because evolution has gotten to the point where we have human beings who can think, that it's stopped. Why would it stop? It's going somewhere. Hang on to your seats. It's going to be a rough ride. It's going somewhere. But so love is the ability to feel affection for, desire, attract to oneself, harmonize and unify based on ideas, truths, principles, and laws that are divine in nature. This is a quote from the book PowerUp, which is available on the side table. In it, Paul Hasselbeck goes on to say, we use love to desire Christ's nature so that we harmonize everything in our lives to be the best person and the best Christ we can be. When we use our love power to harmonize not only, keeping the grass mowed and the dishes washed and the cats fed, but we are also on the spiritual level harmonizing our relationships. We are cooperating with what the universe is doing at the very highest level. And that's what we long for. This is our nature. This is what we were made for. So here's like a little poem. By the power of love, I long to sing the song the universe is singing. By the power of love, I choose to dance to the music of the universe. Love is throwing a party, and I have accepted the invitation. Hallelujah. Okay. So, unity is practical Christianity. How do you create heart coherence? How do you, we have these emotions. Instead of suppressing them, let's deal with them. And it's very simple. You pay attention to your heart center. you create slow, regular breathing. The in-breath and the out-breath of the same length. You know, you don't want to go, it has to be even in and out. And imagine breathing in and out through your heart center. I imagine that just as the universe suddenly emerged into this dimension, that God is emerging into my heart center from a point at the center. But whatever works for you. But imagine breathing in and out through the heart, and then you grab onto a good feeling, a happy, loving, thankful feeling. You can remember a joyful moment, a birth, a graduation, a wedding, an engagement, the day you won the lottery. Remember something happy and just latch onto that feeling and hold it. And then as you continue with your regular breathing, you imagine that you are radiating that out, because that is the nature of love, is to give. My favorite definition of God is unconditional self-giving. So it's your nature to let that love radiate out. So amen, so be it, and so it is.